Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you again for joining us today for the Parametric Condition Assessment Dashboard Tool demonstration. My name is John Winters. I'm a Facility Management Project Specialist with the Denver Service Center, but it's not about me today. Instead, this demo is coming to you from a set of folks that have been working hard through Project Revamp, developing parametric scoring methodology and the dashboard tool that they're showing you today.
National Park Service Parametric Condition Assessment Dashboard Tool.
This team consists of Mary Hudson with the Park Facility Management Division and Andrew Callahan and Tim Balton of Booz Allen Hamilton.
Agenda.
So for our agenda today, Andrew will be starting us off with an introduction and reviewing the purpose and use of the tool. And then Tim will take over with a demo of the dashboard overview page, which is the first page that you'll land on when you come to the tool. We'll stop there for a brief 5 to 10 minute Q&A session, depending on how many questions we get after the first part of the demo. And then Tim will take back over again to demo the asset type condition evaluation pages, which they've also developed. Upon Tim's completion, Andrew will come back in to wrap it up, and then we'll open it up again for questions and answers and feedback as it comes in. So Andrew, you can get started with the introduction and anytime.
Andrew Callahan.
Great, thanks, John. So we'll bring up on screen here a view of the landing page where you all will access the dashboard.
He opens the Parametric Dashboard info page on screen.
Great, looks like it's on screen now. Hopefully folks can see okay.
Yeah, Tim, it looks like your screen is up.
Great. All right, well, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining the webinar today. We wanted to take this time to review the features and functionality of the Parametric Dashboard. This was developed by the Parametric Work Group in response to a request to be able to view the parametric results, the scoring, and the resulting backlog figures in central location and view across parks and regions, and also drill down into low scoring systems within asset types across parks, and across regions. So a few data sets that this dashboard is based off. One would be the parametric repository database. So as parks have been completing and submitting their scoring tool Excel files, WASO has been processing those files and collecting them into a central database. And then FMSS is also sourced as well. So both data sources are as is from the database. And I do want to point out one caveat around use of repair backlog. So you'll see the term repair backlog used throughout the dashboard. And this, given it's still being finalized and parameters determined, should just be used for reference only at this point. It's not to be interpreted as reported numbers or used for reporting at this point, but just for reference. It's shown in the dashboard to aid in project planning and project development. All right, with that background, what you're seeing on screen is the landing page for accessing the dashboard. It's got some background here, and you'll see a link to a one-pager training document that we'll take a look at later. And then it also has a link to the dashboard itself, which is hosted on the Tableau server. So you all should have access using your government computer, as long as you're connected to the DOI network through Pulse Secure. So that link should just open up in a browser. I believe it works in most browsers except Microsoft Edge. All right. Lastly, on the landing page, we are working through permissions, and so we will send around a communication to the attendees of this webinar as a follow-up with instructions to access the dashboard. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, Tim, feel free to take it away to go through the dashboard.
Tim.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, John. All right, as Andrew mentioned, we can access the dashboard from this landing page, so I'll open it up in a browser.
He opens tableau.fbms.doi.net. Parametric Dashboard opens showing graphs.
And I'll make this full screen. John, are you able to see the dashboard?
Yes, you're up on the screen.
Wonderful. All right, so as mentioned before, it opens up to an overview dashboard. We will go through this one and then one of the condition evaluation dashboards as an example. So here at the top, you can see how to navigate between the various dashboards. So just to show, you can click on another one and load that dashboard. It usually takes a few seconds. So there are different views provided in each of these, which I'll go over in a bit. So going back to this overview dashboard, starting at the top, so the data here is as of December 8th. The dashboard is updated monthly, so any parametric data that comes in after this date will not be included in this version. Going down to the first graphic, here we have a view of the parks that have completed their parametric scoring and the number that are still outstanding. At the moment, there are just a handful of parks still outstanding, and you can hover over these graphics to see the counts. But for the most part, this is complete. So going down, this middle graphic shows a comparison of the FMSS DM versus the repair backlog, and this is looked at the asset type level. A few things to note about this. For one, the repair backlog in this case is coming almost fully from parametric assessments. However, for FHWA assessed locations as well as concessions locations, this repair backlog figure is using FMSS DM. So what you see here in the graphics, if you hover over, you can see in blue the repair backlog, which again is primarily coming from parametrics. These black lines show the FMSS DM. And then also in this view, you can take a look at the total CRV for each of these asset codes. So just as a reminder, these repair backlog figures are not to be used as reporting. It's intended to show the comparison and the impact of moving from FMSS DM to parametrics. So you can compare between the black line and where the blue line stops.
He hovers his mouse over one of the bars on the graph.
A few other things to note about this graphic. If you hover over, you'll get a view of some of these figures, including the FMSS DM, repair backlog, CRV. Also, you can see the second one is the count of assets with $0 in DM. So these are specifically assets that originally under FMSS DM didn't have any assigned to it, but that now have some positive parametric repair backlog assigned. So scrolling down to this last graphic in the overview dashboard, here we have a way to quickly see the average scores, parametric scores across different systems. In this case, we're looking specifically at buildings, so asset code of 4100. And we're also looking across by facility grouping. So here you can see the average parametric scores for different systems such as roofs, structures, windows and doors. And then there's this key here, so the darker blue it is, the higher the average parametric score, and the higher the score, the better the condition.
A table of numbers, average parametric scores by facility group.
And then one more thing to note about this dashboard, if we scroll back to the top, you can filter it as you'd like by region, by park, by asset code, and that will dynamically change what you see in these last two graphics. And another thing to note that we'll demonstrate when jumping over to one of the condition evaluation dashboards is that these region and park filters, once you filter them here, they will filter across all of the other dashboards. So you can jump between and compare. And we'll give a demonstration of that once reviewing one of these condition evaluation dashboards at the top.
Drop-down menus on the top right.
So for now, I will pause and we can do our first round of Q&A regarding this overview.
John.
Okay, thanks, Tim. We actually got a couple come in while y'all were talking, so we can hit those. That'll give time for other folks to type in any questions they may have. First from Kim Hall, where do official numbers for backlog come from?
Andrew.
Great, I can start and others can join in, but so the backlog numbers are coming from the parametric assessments. So all the figures that are generated in the parametric assessment tools for those assets assessed in that tool, that's where the official numbers are coming from, and that's what's reported here. I think for upward reporting purposes, there'll be parameters will be established. And so just for reference, as you're looking at your region and park data here, just be aware that, there will be parameters applied on top, and that's why they should just be used for the project planning at that more granular level. So just wanted to add that caveat.
Mary Hudson.
And to add to that, there is some review going in place as to when these parametric numbers will be used as reportable data. Everybody needs to keep in mind that this is portfolio level. It's meant to be portfolio level accurate. So when you drill down to a single location record, the numbers that you find in there may or may not match what you're expecting, especially if you've already done project development. And that's because this is modeled, and it's meant to be that when you have a whole bunch of assets of a given type, that overall what we're reporting on is an accurate number. But it is modeled, it is parametric, so it's not going to be drilled down to a single asset level record in terms of accuracy.
John.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What is the difference between deferred maintenance and repair backlog? From Kelly Clark.
Mary.
You want me to jump in, Andrew?
Yeah, go for it.
So deferred maintenance has always been defined as things that we haven't been able to do on time to be able to do it. When we've been doing the parametric assessments, we've been looking at overall at a life cycle cost. So an example of a difference would be in a roof on a building. If you don't have a brand new roof, you're not going to give it the highest score, which is a 9, which indicates there's no deficiencies on it at all. You have a roof that's halfway through its life cycle, you're going to be giving it a somewhat lower score, and that'll indicate a deficiency. So it's more like a life cycle cost of deficiency as opposed to something that we didn't do just as deferred maintenance. Hope that explains it.
John.
Great. I've had a couple questions about what providing the link to the dashboard. I'll just mention Andrew plans to describe how to access this at the end of the demonstration today. We do have another question. What's the significance of the boldface type for the average scores?
Mary.
Not sure about what you're asking. Yeah. Oh, it just looks like I mean, when I'm looking at it, what that is it's not so much as a boldface type, it's the, if you look at the key in the upper right over there, what you're seeing is the darker blue, and that means it's in a good condition. The closer you get to red, the poorer the condition, and so it's actually a color code, not a bold.
John.
Great. I think that describes that really well. Thank you. Ian Pearson, will we be able to discuss where, when to update our parks ratings on a continuous basis? If this report updates monthly, then I assume that would be helpful, but also I assume our minimum is updating on a yearly basis.
Mary.
So again, I'll address that, and thank you for that question. It's really good. We haven't really set in place a business practice. I mean, we've got some suggested business practices along that line. You're correct that there will probably be a minimum of an annual update. And the idea will be that if you've completed projects on facilities, we definitely want those to be rescored so we can show an improvement to the condition. But also if there's been deterioration or storm damage or what have you. Ideally, you will be able to do that on whenever you want to do it. Can't think of the right word, but anyway, you should be able to do it when it is that you need to do it. We aren't quite ready for that because, you know, to a certain degree, we're almost in like a beta process in that we eventually want to go to a web-enabled or a digital version of this, which will make it much easier to be accessed and to be modified at any given time. But right now, we require some intervention or some assistance with some of our consultants to be able to make sure that we get tools to you, that we get them uploaded back to the repository. I mean, we're still trying to figure all this out before we expend the money to go to a web-enabled version. The business practice will be published and available to everyone. I would suspect that that would happen within the next month or so, where you would have directions on if I want to make a change right now because I've completed a project or I had a hurricane or something and I really need to rescore these facilities. So we will be getting those out to you.
John.
Okay, thanks, Mary. I think you might have answered the next question about who the primary audience for this tool is. Park managers, regional, IRB level. It sounds like all three could access. It's
Mary.
Anyone can access it who wants to access it. They want to look at information. We anticipated that in terms of if we're going to be able to award MATOCs or something, you know, where you have a multiple award contract so that we could have a contractor in a region that could pick up all the roofs in a region or pick up a painting for a region or a group of parks within a region. It enables them to look and say, okay, I've got all of these facilities, they're co-located and or located and regionally located, and so I want to bring this in. So that's an option to do it. At the park manager level, the same idea. If they want to group a bunch of things and say, okay, I see that we have some systems that need to be taken care of, that's common to a bunch of facilities, or they can look at a single facility that scored very poorly and say, you know, look across all the scores and says, I need to do a renovation project. And it's a quick access to the answers to those questions.
John.
great. Keep going. We got a few more. Jerry DeYoung or Curtis Rentz from George Washington Memorial Parkway, directed to not score FHWA and 6300 concessions, and so currently have low DMs, not reflective of real DM. Is this a systemic issue?
Mary.
I'm sorry, I'm talking on mute. Curtis, I know we've spoken with you, and I believe Jerry also. There is currently some work being done on federal highways data, actually in response to the issues that GWMP brought up. Federal highways has done their estimates based on an overall national average, you know, portfolio average. But one of the differences between what they do and what we've done is within an asset type, we have done facility groups, okay? So you can see in that average scoring, we have these facility groups, a complex, complex historic, simple, simple historic. If you were going to translate that to federal highways and try to alleviate the problem that you're running into where the estimates just don't even come close to matching what your projects are, we need to be able to divide that up into facility groups. And the direction that they're headed in that is that they're going to be looking at the terrain. So GWMP is an urban terrain. Right now, a factor that they use for road estimates over through the portfolio. So the average factor is 1.56 or 1.59. I can't remember for sure. If you're looking at urban terrain, it's something like 4.26 for a reconstruction job in an urban terrain, as opposed to that 1.59. So there's a big difference if you start looking at facility groups. And it is my understanding that that is where Federal Highways is going to go for their total portfolio. Now, with regard to the concession assets, they have a process that they wanted to keep for now, where they are doing the traditional condition assessments. I think some of it's associated with prospectus and insurance work. It's not my forte, but I think eventually, and they didn't want people to have to redo work that was already done. So they will probably be brought into the parametrics, but it'll be a discussion between the asset management or the PFMD folks and the business services directorates.
John.
Great. Still quite a few questions that we've been going on about 10 minutes with questions, so I'm gonna give it back to Tim to go into the second half and see if that helps with some of these questions, and then we'll give it to Andrew to wrap up, and again we'll get back to your questions. Thank you.
Andrew.
All right, thank you, John. Yeah, and thank you for all the good questions. We look forward to answering more of them later on. So we're going to jump over to the top here and head over to the condition evaluation dashboard for buildings as an example.
Condition evaluation.
So this dashboard is built out for 5 different asset types. We've got trails, maintained landscapes, buildings, water systems, and wastewater systems detailed here. And all of them are in the same format as this one. So we'll use this as an example. So here you'll see 3 kind of primary graphics. One, we have this FMSS DM versus repair backlog. Same graphic as on the overview tab, but this is specifically for buildings. And you can use the same functionalities of hovering over to see the numbers that you want. Again, repair backlog is in blue, FMSS DM is in black, and CRV is in orange. You also have here a count of the relevant locations. And then down at the bottom, we have a table that's actually at the location level where you can look across more granularly, and we'll get into that. So these 3 graphics all will change dynamically as you apply certain filters to them to your desire. So we'll go through some of that filtering process. So first over here, we have a region filter and a park filter. This is on every dashboard, including the overview one. And again, this will filter across all dashboards. So let's take a look at the park one. If you click this arrow, you have the option to filter in a few different ways. If you uncheck the all and then check a few parks that you want to look at together, you can do that. Or if you're just looking at one park, which might be the case for a lot of you, you can type it in here. So we'll actually take George Washington Memorial Parkway as an example. So you would check that box and then click the apply button. And this is going to filter the dashboard for all relevant building locations at GWMP. So you'll see in a few seconds that the different views will change a little. All right, and yeah, with all the filters, it will take a few seconds, so just have to be patient. So this is now filtered. We now are at 109 locations, and those 109 locations are detailed here below in the table. Some other filters you can apply if you want to look at a range of FCI, Facility Condition Index. There are a few ways to do this. For one, you could type into these boxes the minimum and maximum you want for the range. So for example, let's just look at locations in poor conditions. So we'll say between 0.5 and 1 Facility Condition Index. So this is going to filter the graphics again, and the count of locations is going to reduce. And then you could apply the same type of thing for API. So another way you can do this is actually by using the sliders on either one. So in this case, we'll look at higher priority assets, let's say from 50 to 100. So this is going to provide yet another view.
He moves a slider on the API filter.
So now we have this top graphic, the count of locations, and the associated locations in this table filtered for GWMP, FCI between 0.5 and 1, and API between 50 and 100. So I'm going to take off these filters for a second and go over another set of filters you can apply. So we'll stick with GWMP as an example. So coming over here to the right-hand side of the dashboard, these filters are specific to the systems within buildings, and on the different condition evaluation tabs, you have different lists of relevant systems. So here you can actually look at a range of parametric scores for a given system type. So for example, let's look at roofs that are low scoring, so in poorer condition. We'll say between 1 and 3 for this example. So again, you can use the sliding function, or you could type in your range. So I'll do that for the minimum here. So we'll say 1 to 3.
He moves the slider on the roofing filter.
All right, so now we are looking at the 61 GWMP building locations that have roofs that have been scored between 1 and 3. One thing that we'd like to note is it's helpful to filter out the zeros, because with the parametric scoring, a 0 indicates that the system doesn't exist at that location. So we'll take an example with conveyance. If you filter, say, between 0 and 1 in conveyance, you'll probably get a lot of unwanted results. So we'll just take a quick look at that.
He moves the slider on the conveyance filter from 0 on the left end and types 1 on the right end.
So filtering between 0 and 1, most of these locations that will show up in the table have a conveyance of 0, meaning the location actually doesn't have conveyance. So that's a reason why you want to usually take out the 0 in your filtering. And actually we can go down to the table here, and I'll show another view of this in a second, but you can actually see that most of these have a conveyance score of 0.
A table of data.
So we'll return to our example of roofs between 1 and 3, and then take a closer look at the data in the table to see how you can view it. So again, you can type in, you can use the sliding function. Apologies. So in the table, we now have these 61 locations. Scrolling back to the left here, there's a bunch of columns here. For each location, you can see the park, the description, the FMS SDM, as we discussed, the FCI, and then the repair backlog figure, as well as the parametric FCI status. Then if you come down to the bottom of the table and scroll to the right, you can see API, CRV, And then to the right of that, you have all of the scores for the systems at each location. One important point to note is that this repair backlog column is a summation of the repair backlog across the location. So it's not giving the specific repair backlog for individual systems, just the repair backlog assigned as a total. A few other ways you can play with this table. If you go up to the column headers here, you can sort the table by one that you want. So for example, we can sort by parametric FCI by clicking this little icon. This will sort it from highest FCI to lowest FCI.
Icon to right of text, parametric FCI.
If you click it a second time, it'll sort from lowest to highest, as we'll show. So here you have highest to lowest. Now lowest to highest. And then if you click this icon a third time, it will reset to how it was originally filtered, or originally sorted, that is. So one last thing you can do with the table that's important to note is you can actually download it and take a look in Excel, which might be easier in terms of doing some more filtering and just examination of the data. So the way to do that, we have instructions right here. So we've applied given filters, so you would apply whatever filters you want to see. Click on any cell in the table. Doesn't matter which.
He clicks on a cell highlighting it blue.
And then you will come down here to the bottom right of the dashboard and click the download button. Go to crosstab and then click download. And as you'll see here at the bottom of my screen, this is downloaded as a CSV file, which you can then open in Excel. So I'll just give a quick view of that.
He clicks the file and the table opens in Excel.
And now you have your data in perhaps a nicer format to look at if you want to just look at a subset. One thing to note, there are some locations in the table that will have no scores. These are because they're concessions locations. So just keep that in mind. And then you can save this file to your local computer, and then returning to this dashboard. That's the gist of using the filters and the table functionality. As a reminder, all 5 of these tabs are set up in the same way as this buildings one. And as another reminder, right now we have this filtered to George Washington Memorial Parkway. And just for the region and park filters, they will be filtered across all of these dashboards. So if we say go back to the overview dashboard, you'll see now that these graphics are different. They're filtered specifically for George Washington Memorial Parkway, as you can see in the filter up here. Or if you head over to a different dashboard, let's say the Trails dashboard, this is also filtered specifically for GWMP. So this is a good way to look at the data all together. So that's pretty much it on the dashboard. I'll quickly jump over to the training document that we mentioned at the beginning. So you can find this one-page training document in the team site. It's a PDF, so if we just open it up, this is a good reference to review a lot of what we discussed in this demo. I'll zoom in a little. So you can use this to get reminders about filtering, using these hover over functions, and playing with the table data at the location level. So I'll close back out of this, and I will turn it back over to Andrew to give a little wrap up before our final Q&A.
Andrew.
Great, thanks, Tim. Just in summary here, the goal of this dashboard is really to provide a narrow tool with a narrow purpose to help you all in your project planning and development to be able to drill down into those systems that are low scoring across a given set of parks or across a region, to be able to coordinate project needs and quickly get to those records. And as Tim showed, you can easily export this table into Excel if you prefer to just work in Excel with the data filtered down to what you need. So there's definitely a lot more capability with Tableau, and we welcome the feedback that we can collect. I see a lot coming through the chat already and incorporate in a future update. And then just wanted to note the constraints here. Obviously, the processing time takes a few seconds, so just encourage you to have some patience. It's a powerful tool, but does take some processing time as the filters are applied. And I'll just reiterate again, the data shown here is from the data sources as is, and used for your reference. It's coming from Parametrics and FMSS, but should not be used for official reporting purposes at this time. And then as Tim stated, the repair backlog in this table is at the location level rather than the individual system level. Great. And as mentioned, we'll plan to refresh this dashboard monthly. So as tools are submitted, they will be processed and uploaded and included in the next refresh. And you can see when that last refresh was based on the date on the overview dashboard. Great, and we will plan to send around a link to the team site or with instructions on how to access the dashboard. We're just working through the permissions with that team site before we send it out to you all.
John.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I would recommend everyone just check back to this calendar invite, and we'll update the calendar invite with that information for access.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, with that, I think it's all I had, John.
Okay, great. We've got a little over 15 minutes here. We can work through some more of the questions that came in. Thank you all for, again, questions and the good feedback. Michael Hogan asking, without parametrics on concession facilities, he imagines there's a significant gap in accuracy for those facilities as they aren't routinely updated in FMSS, as they fall to the responsibility of the concessioner. Are there plans to add concession facilities into parametric assessment?
Mary.
This is Mary Hudson again. There will be discussion about it. I don't know what the final response will be. I believe that there is some movement that they would like that to happen. So we'll move forward. Now, the values that are currently in FMSS are what we are reporting. So it's not like nothing gets reported in the concessions. The stuff that they already have in there is reported. And if I don't know if you're aware, but at least we do update at least based on the inflation indices annually. There is an update to the costs that are associated with everything that's reported, and that'll happen with the parametric scoring tools too. We update the CRV calculators, so even if nothing else happens, that will happen every year.
John.
Okay, next we have Stephen Shrimp. The result of the parametric condition assessments is highly dependent on CRV. Seems like CRVs and FMSS have not kept up to recent increases in construction costs. Will there be a formal effort to update CRV across the board to help with the accuracy of this tool?
Mary.
So again, what I stated, that we do update our CRVs annually by what is that called? This the inflationary indices that come from RS means. You're correct that they don't reflect a specific construction materials and types. It's really an average across the board. Now, within the CRV calculator, we actually do have assemblies that are based on specific line items, and as much as possible, they come from RS means. If we get a new number, it gets updated. Some things that you need to remember about the values in CRV. First of all, they are net construction. They do not include your design, your compliance, your construction management, those kind of numbers in there. This is net construction. And we get probably as many complaints about the numbers being high as we do about them being low. So that's part of the answer. The second part is actually we are planning to rebuild the CRV calculator and look at some of the models. Specifically, unique asset types within the Park Service were not as well addressed as we would like. So we're going back and redoing them. And hopefully that will be at least awarded within the year, if not completed within the year. So we are looking to update the CRV calculator. And I think you said Stephen was his name. If you have some specific asset types that you have problems with, I would suggest you let us know. You can reach out to me, Mary Hudson, or Dan LeMay. I don't want his email to get inundated, but he's the cost estimating lead, and he will be the lead on the redevelopment of the CRV calculator.
John.
Okay, next we have when will housing and monument asset types be added to the table if the park disposes or acquires location? How is that updated in the table? From Guadalupe O'Neill.
Mary.
So if you're, she might need to clarify, so let me ask her to clarify that. Is she talking about adding housing to these tabs on this dashboard tool? If she is, that's probably going to be upon request. If there's a lot of need for housing as a specific tab in this, we can add it. With regard to housing as a parametric condition assessment asset type, we already have that in there. We are in the process of updating the responses that will lead to a CUMUS rating, where we're adding the interiors, we're adding 2 more items to the interior ICUMUS rating. The other one I believe you asked about is monuments. Monuments model has been developed. So everybody that did monuments already has their scores. And when we have the models put into the new scoring tool, we will be able to automatically add all those numbers in, and you will have that information available with the repair backlog associated with monuments.
John.
Okay, I haven't seen any response from your inquiry there, Mary. I'll keep that one in my queue. And
yeah, I answered both questions anyway, so I answered both questions.
Julie Forsyth, when will parametric data be available in FMSS so projects are using current data?
Mary.
Joy, do you know the answer to that? Is she on this? I know that we're talking about putting it in and qualifying it as a repair backlog. Oh, Joy can't speak because she's on the other call. So how about we respond to that? We will respond to you in writing on that, Julie.
Okay, great. Looks like everything else is suggestions and feedback. Andrew or Mary, if are there any of those you would want to address right now while we still have some time? Oh, here's another one. Will there be a definitions page, for instance, to understand what is complex versus complex historic or simple and standard.
Could you repeat that one, please?
Will there be a definitions page? I think this is referring to some of those
Yeah, that's
building
Mary.
types.
Yeah, so within, we do have documents that are as our user guide for how to use the tool, but also inspection guidance. And within those two documents, you have all of that information. That is going to be located on the asset management toolbox. But another thing that we're planning to do, because, you know, we're going to have a document here and a document there and a document everywhere, and it already makes me crazy to think about it, is that we will have an artifacts page is what we're calling it. We'll call it something that means something to everybody. It's going to be located, I believe, in either the asset management or the PFMD page inside NPS. So you would be able to have a one-stop shop to go, I need a link to this. It'll be in there so that everybody can access it. And if there's better ways to do that, I am more than happy to hear them, because that is one of the great frustrations in my life, that I have to look 5 places to get enough information to do one thing. Mary Tidlow gave us a feedback as something everybody needs to know. In order to have access to Tableau, you need an active FBMS account. And if you haven't been active in it, you just need to reactivate it. And if there's issues with that, I have no doubt that the help desk can probably help you with that. I don't want to volunteer Mary, because she probably doesn't want to inundated with a bunch of emails either, but you do need to have an active FBMS account. Apparently.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Jump in there too. I think that's if you had an FBMS account in the past and it's now deactivated, it may ask you to log in. But if you did not have an FBMS account in the past, you should be able to access the dashboard via the link without
Okay.
issues.
Mary.
That's what she says at the bottom half of it. Thank you, Andrew. Yes, if you've never had one, you're good to go. But if you've had one, you might have to reactivate.
John.
Okay, I got an anonymous question. Can this rank or filter parks by their SCI, CRV, or repair backlog?
I'm sorry, would you say that again? I was reading another one.
Sure. Can this rank or filter parks by their FCI, CRV, repair backlog?
Mary.
At the park-wide level? I think right now it's set to filter them at the location record level within whatever group you're stating. So I don't think it would show like a park-wide FCI or a park-wide CRV. It's not set up to do that, if that's what the question is.
John.
But within a park, you can sort and filter on any of those statistics.
Mary.
I believe so.
John.
Tim showed. Okay. Todd Morgan is asking, would the 2 items being added to housing interiors be conveyance, HVAC, and electrical?
Mary.
Todd, the 2 items be adding would be the HVAC and electrical. Right now, we did not have plans to add conveyance, because isn't that usually the total building specific as opposed to a single unit? So HVAC and electrical will be added to the interior reported scores.
Andrew.
Yeah, and currently the dashboard is at the structure or asset level rather than the IQMIS level. So you would have the scores for the overall housing structure, but not the IQMIS scores here.
John.
See another comment from Julie Forsyth about being able to sort and filter being important and should be considered. I thought there was some functionality for that. Is that true, or are we missing some of that on the location list in the condition evaluation tabs?
Mary.
You know, I believe the functionality is there to do it. It may not be as fast and as robust as you would like, and that's why we have the ability to go ahead and download them.
Yeah.
I think being able to get a starting place of a list, you know, within some parameters, and then take that and be able to work with it further, it would be valuable to some people, and hopefully it is. I mean, we created this in response to people asking for it.
John,
Great. I think Tim just showed there's some sorting capability, but not filtering. So yeah, just utilizing the download instructions there for additional functionality as needed. All right.
Mary,
So I get to say that John got a compliment from Tara Pettit. Great job facilitating and fielding questions. It was really smooth.
Right.
Thank you, John.
John,
That was my pleasure. I enjoyed hearing about this from all of you and getting all the interesting questions coming in. So thanks so much. I'm not seeing any new questions popping up yet. We do have all the feedback and suggestions recorded. Thank you so much for your interest and your questions. I think we'll be close here to wrapping it up. If Mary or Andrew or Tim would like to add anything else, we can.
I just want to ask you a question, Jonathan. There's a lot of feedback in here that I was texting with Joyce Springer, and she didn't see some of the same ones that I saw. Are they all available to everybody, or are they just to presenters, or how does that work? And if we do document, when we download them, will we be able to see everything? I would like to keep track of what we got.
Yeah, I was selectively publishing the questions. The suggestions I was not publishing, so she would not see those.
Ah, okay, that explains it. But we'll still get the suggestions.
But we will have, yep, yeah, everything that was posted we'll have access to, and if they weren't anonymous, that feedback can be responded to directly to whoever provided it.
Great, thanks very much. Well,
Thanks again, everybody.
I'm going to thank the team and everybody that attended. So Andrew, great job. Tim, great job. Jonathan, thanks for all the work you did to put this together. And you know, we respect your feedback and your questions, and we want to make sure that we answer them. So in some way or shape, we will be getting these responded to, probably within the team files or some other similar manner. So thanks, everybody.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Feel free to reach out to Mary or Andrew or myself with questions, or if you want to get any of the resources after the presentation. Thank you.